Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Be sure to check me out over on Rumble. There you'll find all of my stuff from YouTube, plus my political and social commentary and weekly current events, which YouTube frowns on. Links to my Rumble channel, as well as my other YouTube channels, and links to let you order my books are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons and Dragons stories video on accidental deaths. My son and I were sitting in with our new gaming group the other day. We found a group here in Raton, and they game on Sundays. Excellent group. I talked about it, the game masters in the dungeon masters in a video the other day. Go check that out. The subject came up about how easy it is to die in first edition. The majority of those players have never played first edition. It's a fifth edition group, 5e. I mentioned the time that my first edition, first level magic user tried to mount his horse. The horse got spooked. I honestly don't remember how or why. My first edition, first level magic user with 6 hit points. I rolled maximum and +2 for my constitution. I rolled maximum, 6 hit points. Was dragged down the street and died. Another funny story. My friend George walked out of an inn back in the day in first edition. He tried to cross a busy street in a good-sized town. His first level fighter failed a dexterity check and was run down by a freight wagon. 1 dead fighter. We've all heard stories of the irresponsible magic user with the errant fireball that hits his own party members by accident. Stories like this are a dime a dozen. I did a video a while back titled Read Your Spells. Check it out. Magic users can be as dangerous to their own party as any enemy if they are ignorant of what their spells do and how they work. And I suppose that's true in any edition of Dungeons and Dragons, but probably more so in first edition. What many players fail to realize is that first edition player characters can die in any number of ways and virtually by accident. For purposes of this topic, I'm going to omit cases of player stupidity, like the time the barbarian started drinking from unmarked bottles in an alchemist shop hoping to get drunk. Yeah, he died. Or the time the thief decided to try to ride a wild horse. He'd never ridden a horse before, and the player hadn't either. The horse had been corralled, and the thief was thrown and then trampled. Cases like this, the player is virtually asking for his player character to die. They are tempting fate. This video is dealing with cases where the player character is undertaking normal activity and, for whatever reason, bad luck steps in and the character dies. My friend Larry's cleric, for example, stepped into a pool of water to cross to the other side. He stepped in, it was ankle deep, no big deal. Turns out the center of the pool dropped off to 20 feet deep. The cleric failed a dexterity check and sank. Unfortunately, he was wearing plate mail armor. He had no knife or other edged weapon to cut loose his armor. He drowned. Now, for those of you who don't understand why he wouldn't have an edged weapon, in first edition, according to the rules, clerics cannot use edged weapons. They use blunt items. Well, there's no way to take off a suit of plate mail armor in the time in one breath of air. It's just not happening. Okay, it's like a 15-minute process. The only shot he had was to cut loose the armor, and he didn't have anything to cut with. So, yeah, he drowned. That was just bad luck. The dexterity check was the bad luck. My friend Mark's thief tried to climb a 60-foot tower to gain entrance at the top. Because that's what thieves do, right? As per the book, he made it to the midpoint, which is 30 feet, before he had to roll for the rest of the climb. He had serious bonuses, but still failed the roll. Just bad luck. The 30-foot fall, 3d6 damage, killed the first level thief. In 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, it is very difficult to have your player character die. In first edition, as you can see, a player character can die easily in an instant by accident at virtually any time. You have to be very, very careful in first edition. First edition players have instinctively, this is something I talked about with one of the dungeon masters in our new game, the one we're running on Sunday, the one we're playing in on Sundays. First edition players have instinctively learned to make their characters as survivable as possible. Fifth edition players probably think we're homicidal maniacs who make their player characters as OP as possible, overpowered as possible. It's actually just self-preservation, and it's kind of funny when you think about it. Yeah, your first edition players, people who play first edition Dungeons and Dragons, have instinctively have I guess developed the skill to create ways to make your character survive. When I made for example, I ran a barbarian in there, the Chris's game, and that barbarian had 200 hit points. That barbarian had so many decent, and don't get me wrong, Chris runs a great game, and I'm enjoying playing. But that barbarian, he virtually can't die. In order for Chris to kill off that character, he has to put something in there capable of killing it off. And he can't do that without wiping out the rest of the party. You see what I'm saying? And that's my fault, not Chris's. My fault. Because I'm used to playing first edition. And Chris, if you hear this, my apologies, sir. Because it's not your fault, it's my fault. I'm used to playing in more vicious games, and I'm sorry. It's not your fault, sir. It's not your fault. It's my fault. At any rate, I hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all. There is a house in New Orleans where the monsters all hang out. When the police detective, who happens to be a skinwalker squirrel, uncovers a plot by a paranormal perpetrator, he has to enlist the aid of his fellow housemates. If you enjoy a modern, quirky take on historical mythology, check out my new original novel, The House Off Farrago Road.